The Acolyte is almost here. It's the first live-action Star Wars story set outside of the Skywalker saga. That being the case, you might have some questions about the new series, so here is everything you need to know before watching. First, let's talk about the setting. The Acolyte takes place about 100 years before the events of the Phantom Menace at the tail end of the High Republic. I'll talk about that era in a second, but basically that means we're not gonna see a ton of familiar faces. Yoda would be like 750 at this point. I bet we'll see or hear about him. There is some book characters we know will pop up, and other deeper cut characters like Yar Poof, Apo Rancisis, Yaddle, or Terra Sinube are all possibilities. Jabba the Hutt and even Dexter Jetster are alive back then. But my point is, don't expect this to be a big parade of cameos. Almost all of the major characters from the Star Wars movies or Disney Plus series haven't even been born yet. So what is the High Republic era? It's a part of the Star Wars timeline that starts about 500 years before the prequel films and lasts for about 4 centuries. It's seen as a golden age for the Republic and the Jedi Order, who are both at the height of their power and idealism. The Sith are thought to be extinct for this entire time, having been nearly wiped out at the end of the Sith Wars, which all happened about a millennium before the Phantom Menace. The galaxy is largely at peace, but there are still smaller planetary conflicts, and a group of marauders called the Nihil cause some major trouble in one corner of the galaxy, but there aren't any galactic wars like the Sith or Clone Wars. Basically, think of this as a time of peace, where the Republic isn't as corrupt and the Jedi aren't as dogmatic. But since this is at the end of the High Republic, we'll probably see that stuff beginning to take shape. So far, the story of the High Republic era has been told in books and comics. In my opinion, they are great. I love reading these stories. But is it important for you to read these books before the series? Not at all. The publishing initiative is set another 100 years before the Acolyte. Those Nihil marauders are the main threat, and I think they will be dealt with well before the events of the Acolyte. I hope book readers will be rewarded with little bits of fan service. We know one book character will be in the series, and I'll talk about her soon. I wouldn't be surprised to hear references to the Nihil or the problems they caused, but you certainly don't have any required reading to do before the Acolyte starts. My hope is that the series gets more people interested in reading about this specific era of Star Wars. Okay, I think that's enough setting the stage, so who and what is this series actually about? The official synopsis states, "The Acolyte is a mystery thriller that will take viewers into a galaxy of shadowy secrets and emerging dark side powers in the final days of the High Republic era. A former Padawan reunites with her Jedi Master to investigate a series of crimes, but the forces they confront are more sinister than they ever anticipated." From the trailers, it would appear that a character named May is the former Padawan of Jedi Master Sol. May seems to be murdering Jedi, and Sol teams up with some other Jedi to bring her in. But I think there will be far more to this story, which I'll address later on. Showrunner Leslie Headland has said, "Whatever you think the Acolyte is, it's not that. The show is an onion. Each episode peels away to reveal something else." Basically, this is going to be a series that's probably best enjoyed as it unravels and not from watching videos like this. The Acolyte will certainly tell you everything you need to know while you watch it. But if you're still interested, I'm going to talk more about the characters and factions we've seen in the trailers. I will be speculating on those characters in the trailers as well. I won't be talking about leaks or rumors because I stay away from all that stuff myself, but still, it's possible this speculation could turn out to be true, so if you want to watch The Acolyte as fresh as possible, I would turn this video off now. Although I won't be surprised if I'm wrong about absolutely everything. I'm hitting pause on this video because by now you might know that we got to travel out to LA to see the Acolyte premiere, and I've seen the first 4 episodes of the series through the screeners. I want to make it clear that this video and all the speculation in it was made before all of that. I'm not sitting here trying to guess things I know will happen. That said, I am right about some of it. I'm also completely wrong about some of it. I just wanted to throw it out there that this video was written and made with no knowledge of the series, but still, I'll warn viewers again, if they want to go into the series knowing as little as possible, you might want to turn this video off. Okay, now let's dive into the characters. First, let's talk about Sol. The StarWars.com databank simply says he is a wise, highly respected, powerful Jedi Master strong in the ways of the Force who is going through emotional conflict. Flashbacks in the trailer show him meeting a young May and offering her a lightsaber. It looks like the young girl is part of a coven of witches led by Mother Anastasia. The databank says the coven values their independence and the preservation of their beliefs and powers. I assume they're Force users who channel their abilities through magic similar to the Night Sisters of Dathomir. The trailers show them them potentially possessing a Padawan named Torben. I imagine the Coven's philosophies will butt heads with the Jedi, and May might wind up caught in the middle of that struggle. Two other Jedi are present for Sol and May's meeting, Indara and Kelnaka. I'm kind of expecting something bad to happen during this confrontation beyond just Torben being possessed. Indara looks like she's standing over someone, maybe trying to heal them. I would guess she's trying to heal Torben. Whatever happens, I think it will affect these characters. For example, Kelnaka's databank entry says he is a loner who lives a solitary life in the present day. Maybe he is meditating on the past out in the woods by himself. He may have taken something called the Barash Vow, an oath of penitence some Jedi took where they stepped away from the Jedi Order to commune with the Force. Whatever Kelnaka's deal is, it's interesting to see a Wookiee living alone. They're usually seen to be very social. Indara is cryptically described in the databank as a Jedi Master of great physical and mental skill. Not a lot to go off of there, but if I'm right about something bad happening when Sol first meets May, I think that puts a target on Indara's back. The trailers and the extended look that was shown during the Phantom Menace's re-release heavily featured a fight between Indara and May. We don't know how it ends, but I wouldn't be surprised if Indara is the first Jedi victim we see in the series. Having her played by Carrie-Anne Moss, Trinity herself elevates her in my mind as a very strong and capable fighter. I would have thought that even if I hadn't read the bare-bones databank entry. Giving the audience a recognizable face to be killed off quickly makes May a major threat. It's kind of like Tom Skerritt dying in Alien or Drew Barrymore in Scream. Killing off a major actor heightens the danger for the rest of the story. TV Tropes calls this Dead Star Walking. So these Jedi murders are happening, Sol is investigating, and he takes a handful of other Jedi with him. Jeki Lon is his Padawan in the present day. She is young, but said to project calm and conduct herself with maturity. She is a half-human, half-Thelan. There are a lot of aliens in this series, which is great. I loved Andor, but I agree that it seemed to shy away from the pulpier and weirder side of Star Wars. The Acolyte looks like it'll lean into that stuff more. In an interview with Entertainment Weekly, actor Daphne Keane says Jeki gets to have cool lightsaber fights. She finds herself in awe of her master and follows his commands to the letter. I think it'll be great to have a past and present Padawan of Sol's in the story. I expect they will have a fun dynamic, and a trailer even showed May holding a knife at Jeki's throat. I think Jeki is probably going to change her opinion of her master over the course of the series. If she looks up to him at the start, the most dramatic arc would be for her to lose some respect for him if he has done something not so great in the past. Also part of the team is Yord, who is said to be a guardian of the Jedi Temple, an overachiever, and a rule follower. His need to be a by-the-book Jedi can cloud his mind. I already love this dude. I think he'll be someone I roll my eyes at constantly, but I will also relate to him. It's interesting that he's a temple guard, and I wonder if we'll see him wearing that uniform and mask from the Clone Wars. I see him as a symbol of things to come for the Jedi. If he spends all his time at the temple, he won't have as much knowledge of the Outer Rim or what life is like off Coruscant. That becomes part of the problem with the Jedi Order, is that they pull away from the galaxy and its people, becoming more centralized on Coruscant, more connected to the Republic Senate, and more dogmatic overall. I love the shot of the Jedi Temple in the second trailer, which is seen to be several levels higher than it is by the time of the prequels, but over the next century, Coruscant will continue to grow, creeping towards the temple as if it's swallowing it. I'm putting a lot of symbolism on Yord, but that's how I see him right now. I hope we get to see him learn and grow as a Jedi over the course of the season. We don't know if she'll be joining the investigation, but Vernestra Rwoh is the one High Republic book character we'll be seeing in the series, so she's about 116 during the time of the Acolyte. Back in the books, she is a Jedi prodigy, having been knighted at the age of 16. She goes through quite a bit during the Nihil attacks, and I won't spoil any of that here, but Leslie Headland confirmed that the character has, quote, been through some shit in an interview with Empire magazine. Headland also said Vernestra rarely puts on her mission robes to go adventuring. She's very in tune with the Force, and she is more of a high-ranking official. I wouldn't be surprised if she were part of the Jedi Council at this time. By the way, during the High Republic era, Jedi have white and gold robes that they wear around the temple, and they have mission robes that are more brown and gold, which they wear out and about. And we have seen a picture of Vernestra in mission robes, so I think she will see some action. The poster also shows her purple lightsaber, which is more than meets the eye. She adjusted her lightsaber to become a light whip with the turn of a dial. Leslie Headland has mentioned that detail in interviews, so I'm expecting and hoping that we'll see it in action on screen. The Jedi team will be traveling the galaxy in a ship called the Polan. The databank says it's manufactured by Lantillian Shipwrights. The Polan 717 Jedi Transport is a versatile shuttle employed by the Jedi Order in the Age of the High Republic, fit for both everyday and long-distance missions. It does seem to have a back half it can use for hyperspace travel and then detach from for sublight travel, kinda like a hyperspace ring. The poster features a couple of ships that look to me like updated vectors. Those are the Jedi starfighters of the High Republic era. They've got S-foils, and the design was taken from concept art originally created for Revenge of the Sith. One of the coolest features of the vector is that they require a lightsaber to be locked into place to activate the weapon systems. I don't know if that'll appear in the show. These vectors will probably be a new generation of starfighter, but I hope it's something we get to see. We've also seen a new handheld droid named Pip. The databank says it's a repair droid with a wide array of tool attachments and a chipper can-do personality. The pocket-sized droid is always eager to help, often suggesting just the right tool for the task at hand. It looks like May is carrying Pip around in one of the TV spots, and now I'm going to shift into some speculation that I think is right on the money. In fact, the rest of this video will be a lot of guesses about the plot, so I'm just going to throw out another warning if you want to avoid any of that. A lot of fans are guessing that May has a twin sister and that she is the murderer. The TV spot has May claiming she didn't murder anyone in a scene that seemed like it was pulled straight from The Fugitive, or the Clone Wars episode The Jedi Who Knew Too Much. Anyway, there are various shots of May from the trailers that look slightly different, and her face is on the poster twice. I think this will be one of the earliest layers of the onion to peel back, at least I hope it is, because it feels like the show's marketing isn't being subtle about any of this. I could see it being a reveal at the end of the second or even first episode. Then May will team up with Sol, and they can investigate the murders together like the plot synopsis says. The last major character we have to talk about is Kamir, who is described as a former smuggler who now makes his living as a trader, procuring unusual things and enjoying a life of leisure. We know very little about him, but I'm already highly suspicious of the guy. In the second trailer, he claims that the Jedi justify their galactic dominance in the name of peace, but that peace is a lie. What a great line, because it sounds fairly innocent, just a guy who's a little disgruntled with the Jedi, but he just so happens to end his little speech with the start of the Sith code. Peace is a lie. So my eyes are on this so-called former smuggler with an unusual collection enjoying a life of leisure. It sounds like he's rich and he could have a lot of ancient artifacts. I got my eyes on you, Kamir. I'm probably wrong, but right now he is my prime suspect for the biggest mystery of the series, surrounding the masked red lightsaber wielding figure featured in both trailers. That's the big question right now. Who is that? Are they a Sith or some other dark side user? If they're a Sith, will that break canon? Is it someone we know? Let me address some of those questions. My hope is that it is a Sith. I think it would make for the most interesting story if the Jedi encounter a Sith, fully know it's a Sith, and then decide to bury that information. Yes, Ki-Adi-Mundi claims that the Sith have been extinct for 1,000 years in The Phantom Menace. Mace Windu says he doesn't think the Sith could return without them knowing, but they are both wrong. They're just refusing to believe that Darth Maul could be a Sith when first confronted with the possibility. I think it would be perfect if the Jedi find a Sith in the Acolyte, fight them, kill them, and then dust off their hands and go, "Whew, I'm glad that's over with. Maybe we shouldn't tell the rest of the Jedi Order or the galaxy what we just saw. There's no need to cause a panic." In a way, Kamir could be right. The Jedi could lie to maintain peace, and it's not out of character for even the idealistic High Republic Jedi to do that. Part of the story of the books and comics is about a similar situation, where a threat to the Jedi pops up, and they decide to keep it under wraps for a while, which only leads to more problems. It is completely possible that character could be another dark side user, like a Knight of Ren or something. That group existed well before their introduction in the sequel trilogy, but my personal hope is that the masked figure is a Sith of some kind. So, if they are a Sith, could it be someone we know? Palpatine is out because the Star Wars Timelines reference book places his birth after the Acolyte series, so maybe it could be his master, Darth Plagueis, or maybe his master, Darth Tenebris. I think the safer bet is that they will be a completely new character that predates both of them. Leslie Headland has talked about her love of the Star Wars EU, now classified as Legends. She grew up on those books, she played the old West End Games RPG. I think the Acolyte is early enough that she could introduce a new Sith character without having to mess with existing ones, even if they aren't technically canon yet. But familiar Sith characters aren't out of the question. Headland has said she put some EU lore into the story because she thought it was cool and no one told her she couldn't. We're gonna see a Zygerian Jedi and an EU species that hasn't appeared in canon yet. That might be a Selkath from Knights of the Old Republic, which was spotted in the background of a behind-the-scenes video, but they were in the Clone Wars, but this would be their first live-action appearance, or maybe she's talking about a different alien. Headland also said there are a couple of really big EU ideas that are utilized early on in the series and later in the series. She's also suggested that more High Republic characters could appear alongside Vernestra Rwoh in future seasons, saying she's already talked to Pablo Hidalgo about it. So it sounds like there is hope for future seasons of The Acolyte if all goes well. But I was also relieved to hear her say in an interview with Collider that Season 1 won't have some massive cliffhanger. She says she wants the audience to feel like they've had a particular type of catharsis. But I think that's everything we really know about The Acolyte right now. It's not a lot, really, but I think that's great. We're entering a brand new era for live-action Star Wars where I'm not able to connect characters back to other legacy characters or events. This is going to be fresh and new and won't have as much character baggage as anything that links back to the rest of the Skywalker saga. I've been excited for this series ever since it was announced, and all we had was a title and a mention of the High Republic era. I'm glad that we'll finally be able to experience it in just over a week on June 4th. Until then, please like this video, subscribe to the channel to keep up with all our Acolyte coverage, follow us on our socials, and consider checking out our Patreon page where we'll have video reactions and audio commentaries for each episode as they release. As always, thanks for watching, and for light and life.